2018. And he's also won a mixed team gold at the European Games. Abhishek Verma picked up a bronze medal at the Hyundai Archery World Cup final in 2018, but that's the last time that we've seen him on the podium. Good for the Indian to be back, but it will be the Russian to get us underway. Sighter of a 9. Now we saw that in the other semi-final. And it's a 9 from Verma as well, so no damage done. The story of the day has been about how good the conditions are and how many times you shoot outside the 10 ring.
Just making some adjustments to his sight. Not quite in the middle yet.
As Verma adapted, he looks like he hasn't quite adapted, but I think that's nicked the line.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Catch a line and you get the higher score, so that is why we see Verma 1 point ahead, and it could be critical. Bulaev has found the centre of the target now, but a 28 means Verma could lead after end number 1. Now that, I think, is even a harder one, and there you go, it is being measured. My gut feeling is that's hit the line, but it's a lot tighter to call, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that one might be in as well, so we'll have to wait for the official confirmation, but I think he's been lucky on those.
Yeah, so the adjustment that made for the second arrow wasn't quite enough, but if you like, just sort of nicked the line and got a bit of a fluky one. Clearly, he then made a bigger adjustment, and it's gone the other side. I think that's probably the luckier one, isn't it?
Yeah, quite possibly. It's got a really curious technique. You know, we saw this a bit earlier, and I think what he's doing is he's coming into anchor, he starts his bow arm really low, and then you start to see him move his bow arm up. And I think...
Are we talking about Bulaev here? Or are we talking about Verma?
Bulaev.
Yeah.
I think as he comes up, he's coming up. As soon as he sees the gold, he's hitting that trigger. I think that's how...
He's forcing, he's punching.
Yeah, I think that's his technique, because it's really interesting how, you know, we see a lot of movement in that front arm. He comes up very high, anchors very high, up in the corner of his mouth, which is unusual. And then we see his front arm move up, and then it goes. He shoots. I think that's what he's doing.
Well, we have to look out for that. I think that's a really interesting point. Another one is we should really have a camera in the commentary box, because for those of you that don't know Nikki, she's going through all the actions herself and showing me and demonstrating what's happening. So if you hear little bumps on the mic, that's Nikki pretending she's holding a bow. Former world number 1 here in the commentary box, bringing you the analysis. And there you see the back arm just dropping in.
Bow arm going up.
Yeah, I mean, you clocked it absolutely beautifully. So that was a markup for Abhishek Verma to a 29 in the previous end. And he's back on the 10. So a 29 start for Verma, 28 for Bulaev. Get a better view of what Nicky Hunt's been telling us about. There's the front arm going up. Oof. Best shot so far from him. And there's the opportunity for Bulaev to get back into this. And actually, the action that you're talking about here for Bulaev is, you can really see the difference with Verma, because he very much comes from top down. Brilliant. 58 for the Russian. And you see the arm now going the opposite direction.
Yeah, and that's what we normally see.
It's another 9 and a 28 for Abhishek Verma. And all of a sudden, Bulaev has gone into the lead. What? So, Nikki, why is it that it's... Is it just a historical thing that coaches have trained to come down onto the target? Is there a reason for that? And therefore, what is the reason, if there is, what's the reason that Bulaev goes the other way?
Yeah, so usually you would start a little bit high and then you just drop down into the goal, because it's so much easier to drop down than it is to pull up.
Simply because of the weight of the bow?
Yeah, literally. So, if you just hover around kind of the red high, and then as you're just aiming, you're just dropping down into the middle, that's a much easier thing to do physically. I think, this Russian is just starting low, again, because he's shooting that wrist release with that first finger on the trigger, bit of a conscious shot, bit of a punch. I think he's just starting really low of the target, coming up into the gold, and then not long after that, hits the trigger. I think that's how he's managing it.
I think we need to keep watching that, because I think actually what he's doing all of that, he's coming up to the centre, and it possibly goes just past it and then drops back down again. It's a tiny little movement right at the end. You tell me. I certainly think I saw that on at least one of the shots. Verma, though, trailing here with the more traditional setup for his shot, 57-58. And the Indian drops it into the 9 again. That's the third one in a row.
Certainly coming up, isn't it? And then kind of almost a little hover, and then that one he looked like he dropped a bit, and they went low 9s. But
yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? That maybe he hasn't got a completely consistent setup, that he's going up and he just, like you say, hovers around. So sometimes he's dropping up and sometimes he's dropping down once he gets there.
Watch that first finger on the trigger.
Wow, the door has opened here. Both of them conceding opportunities, and now they're all tied. Seen more 9s in this match than we have in any other match today. Finishing with a 29. Okay, look, having seen these archers shooting so well, having seen the scores being super high, why? Why are we getting this? 3 9s in a row from Verma, and then 3 9s. The 3 9s in a row were followed up by 2 10s in that end, to be fair, so Verma got back into the centre. 3 9s from Bulaev as well. What's that all about?
I think it's just the pressure. If you win this match, you go through to your gold medal match, and you've got a chance of taking a ticket to the World Cup finals. Simple as that. That is such a huge event. You want to be there. I can't describe, how, for a compound arch particularly, you don't have an Olympics. This is the biggest event of the year. You want to be there. And it's a huge pressure.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I absolutely hear you. It just seems... I don't want to call it a convenient excuse, but it does seem that is literally what it is. The pressure on these archers is what's forcing the mistakes. And I've said it time and time again, this is not just about shooting 10s. This is about a mind management job. You've got little time to recover from a mistake and no time to celebrate a success.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Verma hasn't been on the scene since Vegas 2020. That's a long time to not have done an international event for. We can train and practice, but recreating this kind of pressure is just so difficult. It's almost impossible.
Bulaev trailing coming into this. Shot first. He's left the door open again. That's the 5th 9 in a row. And this is a massive opportunity here for Abhishek Verma. They're just coming up that time. No settling, just up into the spot and then released. Well, a perfect for Abhishek Verma. When the door opened for him, he has marched right the way through it. This is a commanding lead given the situation. However, the pair of these have shot 3 nines in a row already in this match. So let's not write off Bulaev just yet, but certainly you prefer to be in Abhishek Verma's position.
Yeah, 3-point lead up and into the last end. I mean, that's a really good position to be. Like I say, usually you'd feel comfortable, but both of them have shot a few nines through here, so anything could happen. You just got to try and keep your nerve.
Remember, the winner goes on to face Chris Schaff for a gold medal and a place at the Hyundai Archery World Cup Finals, meant a little bit later on this year. The loser goes into the bronze medal playoff. Now, there are ranking places available here for the men, but there's also the potential that ranking spots will become available because Chris Schaff at the moment is a ranking qualifier. So if he wins here, he opens the door for another athlete. End number 5, Bulaev trailing by 3. Back in the 10s for him. Needs that for the pressure. And he has to put on Abhishek Verma. Wow.
Did you see the punch on that? So the movement of the finger, he went on it, he went off it, and then a big build up to a punch.
And that big movement surely moves everything.
Yeah.
Tiniest error at the shooting line makes it just multiplied at the other end. Wants to finish strongly here after shooting a 6 after a technical breakdown in a second shot. Well, it's not quite as bad, but it's a 9. Just added 5 years to Nicky Hunt's life there. 5 required from Abhishek Verma to win this. Verma's going to the final. He finishes with another perfect. The opportunity came along, and the key thing in archery is you absolutely have to take it, and that is what this Indian archer has done. A superb performance by him. A little bit of ball dropping going on from the Russian. Nicky, you don't like punches, and that's why.
That is exactly why, because quite often it breaks down under pressure. You know, it's a conscious shot. You're having to think, I am going to shoot now. And with that, of all the pressure of, you know, win this match, win the next one, go to the World Cup final, all those thoughts going in your head, that's where it starts to break down. It can break down. Some people can keep it going, but often there's rebuilding needed. So, you know, recommendation from me, the way I used to shoot at least, and many other successful archers, is just, you know, make it subconscious.